My name is Celine. I'm 34 years old. When I was a little girl, I barely spoke. I spent most of my childhood in silence, not because I didn't have words, but because there was no one to listen. My parents were strict. In our house, rules came before love. They used to say, no playing outside. No friends. No distractions. So I stayed home all day, staring out the window, watching other kids laugh and chase each other in the streets. I wanted to join them so badly. But whenever I asked, my mother would shake her head. Stay inside, Celine. Good girls stay home. I didn't go to kindergarten. I didn't even know what it felt like to share crayons or giggle during story time. When I finally started school, I was terrified. The noise, the laughter, the chaos, it all felt foreign to me. I remember sitting at my desk, my heart racing as I watched the other kids talk and play. I asked myself, how do I even start a conversation? But little by little, I found my way. A few classmates smiled at me. And slowly, I smiled back. Even though I made friends, I stayed quiet. I loved drawing, it was the only way I knew how to express myself. I wanted to join the art club so badly. I remember clutching the form in my hand, hoping my parents would say yes. But when I showed it to them, my father said, no. Focus on your studies. Art won't feed you. So I put the form away and stopped asking questions. Years passed, and I graduated high school. When I went to college, it felt like stepping into a new world. One filled with freedom, colors, laughter, and choices. That's where I met Simon. He was tall, with a kind smile and a laugh that filled the room. He noticed me even when no one else did. He'd tease me for being quiet. And I'd blush because I didn't know what to say. One day, he looked at me and said, "You're so beautiful, Celine." It was the first time anyone had ever said that to me. When I was with him, I felt seen. Like I mattered. We'd sit under the old oak tree behind the library, talking for hours about everything and nothing. He told me I was his best friend. He made me believe in love. In something warm and safe. But Simon didn't share my dreams. When I told him I wanted to finish college and build a career, he frowned and said, "Why do you need a degree? You can marry me." I was only 18, and I thought love was enough. So when he asked me to marry him, I said yes without hesitation. We got married when I was 19. At first, it felt like a dream. Our own little world filled with promises and laughter. A year later, I gave birth to our daughter, Judy. She was so tiny, her fingers curling around mine like I was her entire universe. I thought my life was complete. But 2 years later, everything started to change. Simon began criticizing the way I dressed. "You can't wear that, Celine. Go change." He hated my tattoos. He told me to grow my hair long again. "Short hair doesn't suit you," he said. At first, I tried to please him. I changed my clothes, hid my tattoos, and smiled when he said I looked better that way. But piece by piece, I was disappearing. He didn't like me meeting my friends either. You don't need them, he'd say. Stay home with Judy. So I did. Soon, he started coming home late. When I asked where he'd been, he said, out with friends. Don't start with your questions. I felt so lonely. Then one night, he got angry. He shouted, "You're not a good wife." And that night, he hit me. The sound of his hand meeting my face still echoes in my memory. I remember standing there, frozen, feeling the sting on my cheek and the tears burning my eyes. I wanted to leave, but I was terrified. Where could I go? What would I do? I went to my parents' house, hoping for comfort. But when I told them, my mother looked at me and said, "You're married now, Celine. Go back to your husband." So I did. Because I didn't know how not to. A year later, I got pregnant again. This time, with a boy, my son, Tom. He looked just like me, with dark eyes full of light. I loved him more than I thought possible. But Simon didn't come to the hospital. When I came home, holding our newborn in my arms, he barely looked up and said, "Why are you back so soon?" Then I learned the truth. Simon had a girlfriend. He didn't even try to hide it. He looked me in the eyes and said, "She loves me more than you." Those words broke something inside me. I felt invisible, useless, unwanted. I wanted to run away. But I had no money, no job, and 2 children who depended on me. 3 months later, Simon joined the army. He packed his bags and said, "You'll manage, Celine." And just like that, he was gone. I cried every day. During that time, my father died. And my mother moved to another country. I was completely alone. One night, Simon called from the army. He said, "I found someone new." I remember dropping the phone. My knees gave way. I couldn't breathe. But 5 months later, he called again. "I made a mistake, Celine. Please take me back." And because I still loved him. Or maybe because I was still afraid to be alone. I said yes. We tried again. But Simon didn't change. His words still cut deep. The love that once warmed me now felt like a cage. Now, 16 years have passed since that day I said I do. Simon tries to be better sometimes. But his temper never truly left. I often sit alone at night, watching the shadows dance across the walls, and ask myself, why did I forgive him so many times? Why did I stay? I'm 34 now. I'm stronger than I used to be. But I'm also tired. Sometimes, I feel like I don't exist. Like I'm just a shadow in someone else's story. Still, every morning, I wake up early. I look at my children. Judy is 8 now. And Tom is 5. I whisper to myself, be strong for them. I cook breakfast. I pack Judy's lunch. Tom stays home with me. But some mornings, the exhaustion hits me like a wave. I look around our small kitchen and think, how did my life become this? One afternoon, there was a knock at the door. It was my neighbor, Sara. She smiled and said, "Hi, Celine. Do you want to come over for tea?" For a moment, I wanted to say no. Simon would be angry if he found out. But something inside me, something small but brave, whispered, "Go." So I went. Sara's kitchen smelled like cookies and cinnamon. She poured me tea and said gently, "You're not alone, Celine. I'm here for you." Those simple words made me cry. Because I hadn't heard kindness in so long. Sara gave me an idea. "Why don't you start working from home?" she said. I thought about it. Simon wouldn't want me working outside. But maybe I could do something small. So I started baking. At first, it was just for neighbors, a birthday cake here, a batch of cookies there. But soon, people started ordering more. For the first time in years, I felt proud of myself. I looked at my cakes, golden and soft, and thought, I can do this. Then one day, Simon came home angry. He shouted, "Why are you baking? You don't need to work." I looked him straight in the eye and said, "I need to do this, for me and for the kids. I won't stop." He was silent. Maybe for the first time, he realized that I wasn't afraid anymore. Life didn't change overnight. He still gets angry sometimes. But I've learned to stand my ground. I told him, "If you ever hit me again, I'll leave. I mean it." He didn't believe me at first. But I stayed strong. I started meeting new people. Going for walks with Sara. And doing little things that made me happy again. I cut my hair short, the way I liked it. I started wearing colorful clothes. One morning, Judy looked at me and said, "Mom, you look so happy." Her words made me smile through tears. Now, I don't know if Simon will ever change. But I know I have. I'm not that scared girl anymore. The one who stayed silent, hoping someone else would save her. If you're hearing my story, I want you to know something. You are strong. You can survive hard times. You can start over. Don't give up on yourself. Because one day, you'll look in the mirror, just like I did, and realize that even after everything, you're still here. And that means you're already winning. If you liked this story, please like, comment, share, and subscribe.